Okay, so we're back. Hey, thanks for that. Again, we're here live at the Brook Green Gardens on a beautiful April day here, and this is the second part of the message. So we've been talking about our beliefs and how important it is to do the work to cultivate our positive thought, and so that we can create and press pause to challenge old beliefs that don't serve us well anymore, so that we can move into better nutrition for the seeds that have been planted in us, and the gifts, so that we can use them to help others in our life. And some of you have stayed in touch with me and shared some of the things that you've been doing to grow some new beliefs in your life. And some of you have joined the additional trainings that I do to help cultivate your soil. And I am so honored as you do this and you allow me into those moments of your life. There does come a time, though, when we've tilled the soil of our minds. We've brought in some new belief, some new seeds, and we've planted them in our hearts and in our minds, and we've taken the action to provide better nutrients for them. And then there comes this time that we're in, which we'll call the meanwhile, the while we wait. Has anyone ever tried to watch grass grow? We know it grows because we've seen the new bright green blades as they come up as the weather warms up in the spring, and it's as if we wake up one morning and there they are, the little bright green bunches of blades all together out in the yard. And we know that it keeps growing because each week it needs to be mowed. Yet, have you ever tried to just sit there and watch it grow? Well, of course not. We can't see the microscopic growth that's continuously taking place. And the same is true for us. We are continuously growing, either in the direction of our faith or in the direction of our doubts. And we probably go in both directions, sometimes supercharged in faith and positive momentum, and other times spiraling downward as even just sitting still. But we're making the microscopic moves that, when we combine them together, they provide the evidence of our growth. And Dr. Carl Sagan, he has a great quote. It says, "The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence." Let me say that again. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. And just think about that for a moment. The absence of it is not evidence of the absence of it. And sometimes how we feel about the meanwhile, that period of time when we're waiting for growth to happen, it's happening, but it sure doesn't feel like anything's happening. I've been in this place recently myself, and I know I'm growing, and yet my circumstances aren't displaying the evidence. So what are we to do? I've come to learn that there are many reasons for the meanwhile. Sometimes it's for God to line up the next steps, to move the right people into place, into the right places, so that we can take the next action that's intended for us. Sometimes it's to grow something else inside of us, to allow it, time to be in the fire and be refined and strengthened, as my very dear friend Nick spoke into my life one day. Other times, though, and the area that I want to share with you is because that this is what God has placed on my heart for you, is that in the meanwhile is a place to build our belief, to reveal our true belief, to separate the what we say we believe, what we want to believe, from the what we actually do believe. And it's here in the meanwhile that it seems that one of the biggest enemies of belief is time. But is it really? We want what we want when we want it. We live in a world of instant gratification. We want it now. Yet the things of God, His natural order of things, requires time. You know, his word shares specifically time frames that passed, even in the creation of the world itself. Even the phrase, which I've grown to love and am believing in my own life, is connected to a moment of time, a space of time. And that phrase is, "and suddenly." Suddenly. I love that. It's a word to describe a very short period of time, yet nonetheless, time. And suddenly comes usually after a longer period of time in which belief is tested. And it's when we've been in the meanwhile, while we wait. So I encourage you today. Mark 11:23 has just been resonating in my mind the last few weeks, months actually. I remember texting it to a friend one day because it was just so present for me. And that says, "For assuredly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, 'Be removed and cast into the sea,' and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them. Believe that you receive them, and you will have them." Wow, that is such a huge promise. And I fully intend to believe more on this promise than I do on any problem that I face. I am with you in the meanwhile on several aspects of my life, and I stand in agreement with you in your meanwhile. While we may be feeling as if we're watching grass grow with aspects of our life, and I hope as you do, you will center yourself in this time on what you truly believe. My devotional today spoke about this meanwhile, and it was so good. And I'd like to share with you what it says. And it was dated for today, April 13th, the day that we're doing this here today. And it said, "When I give you no special guidance, stay where you are. Concentrate on doing your everyday task, in awareness of my presence with you. The joy of my presence will shine on you as you do everything for me. Thus, you invite me into every aspect of your life. Through collaborating with me in all things, you and all my life to merge with yours. I designed you to depend on me, moment by moment, recognizing that apart from me, you can do nothing." I love this part. "Be thankful for the quiet days when nothing special seems to be happening. Instead of being bored by the lack of action, use times of routine to seek me. Although this is an invisible transaction, it speaks volumes in the spiritual realms. You are richly blessed when you walk trusting with me through the routines of your day." Isn't that great? And in the devotional, it was backed by Colossians 3:23. John 5:15, and Psalms 105:4. So read those to strengthen that as well. So I have a question for you. Do you trust God? Do you believe what His Word says? Do you believe that He knew you when He formed you in your mother's womb? I tell you, providing you with all the gifts and the talents and the resources you need to effect your purpose. I struggled with that thought for so long. How could He know me before I was even born, before I was faced with the different decision points in my life, so often making the wrong choices? I even had a time understanding how, if He is so good and is for us, not against us, how could some of the things that happened to me happen?